V.
And I'm Dr. E. Queen V, we have an amazing guest today. Tell us a little bit about this guest so that everybody can see how audacious she is, how special she is, and what she brings to the table.
Well, you know what, Dr. E, we know that one of the huge characteristics of being audacious is being able to persevere. Our next guest, Shamilla Pennington, is the epitome of the ability to audaciously persevere. She is the single mother of 4 brilliant children and also an entrepreneur. But I would love to hear from her herself. So Shamilla, please give us a little background into you, hon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. E and Lady V. I'm so honored to be on the Audacious to Believe show this afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest. I am Shamilla Pennington, and like you said, I'm the single mother of 4. I have 2 sons and 2 daughters. 3 of my children are in college, and I have one that will be graduating this June and will be going off to college. And so I'm extremely thrilled about that. It has been an amazing, audacious journey, one that definitely fostered and needed perseverance, because it's, you know, we'll dive deeper into that, but it definitely takes some perseverance to get into that. I am the entrepreneur of a stationery business. I just launched my business this past May. So it's Journal & Co. Stationery company. So I'm extremely excited about that, passionate about all things writing, all things stationery, planning, and you'll learn more about this journey that a lot of it was fostered through and developed through my me mastering being a single mom and mastering a schedule, and also writing down my fears and writing down the trepidations and writing down the things that I was going through. So I'm so excited to be here and to share a little bit of my story.
Thank you.
Well, you know, I am so impressed, Dr. E, because as you know, I spent much of my life being a single mother. And I have watched this young woman, and she has done it to the point that it looks easy. But I know the journey is anything but easy. So Shamilla, explain to us where you got the audacity to not only master, you know, single parenting, but to keep your children on task. My God, 3 in college, the 4th on her way. That would be huge for a married couple, much less a single mom. Let us know how you were audacious enough to believe that you could do that.
You know, Lady V, it's really interesting that you asked that. I would like to say that I had the audacity. One of my biggest fears was the statistics. I knew what the statistics said coming up through school and seeing some of my peers have children early and have children during our high school years. And so I was aware of what the statistics said. And so one of my biggest fears was becoming a single mom. I'm like, you know, I know what the statistics are saying, the outcomes are going to be. But I just believe, you know, it's got to be different. Something has got to be different. You know, these kids did not ask to be here. They did not ask for this situation. They did not ask for our unique circumstances, right? But I'm just going to dare to believe that I'm going to do my best to give them their best, that they can have the best outcome. And so it came with much sacrifice. It definitely came with much sacrifice. And I think oftentimes, you know, when people see you on Facebook and they see you toting the kids around, it definitely looks easy, but it did not. It came with much prayer and many tears, and the writing was very instrumental in my life, because a lot of times I didn't understand things that were unfair. I didn't understand the things that we were going through, but I had to push through. I didn't allow those barriers. I didn't allow those situations and circumstances to stop me. One of the things I'll say is, like, my faith is really radical. Like, when I see no's and I see you know, barriers, because barriers can come in all different forms and fashions. And so when I saw those barriers, I'm like, God, I just believe that you're going to do something. God, I believe that you're just going to open the door. And I mean, I prayed and watched God do some things at the final hour, at the final hour. And so that's just where, and after I've seen him do it time and time again that way, I learned that this is going to be the way that I have to go. This is what I have to do in order to get us to the place where I want us to be. And one of the things I was thinking about it last night, as we, thinking about the show, and I was thinking about something my son told me his senior year. We were driving home one night and we were just talking about the journey. He's like, gosh, we've come so far. And he said, Mom, one of the things that you have given us that's not tangible is the gift of faith. Mm. And, it made tears come to my eyes, because a lot of times we want to give our kids all the tangible things. And sometimes we're not able to give them the tangible things. Sometimes we don't have those tangible things, but I was able to, he affirmed out of his mouth that one of the things that I was able to give them was the faith. He said, we faced some very difficult times. He said, but just watching you believe, and not give up in the face of those things, that's the perseverance. And that's, what it took. But I'm so glad that I was able to model that for my kids as they were coming up.
Wow.
Obviously, you are a terrific role model for your kids. And, it's my understanding, while raising your kids, and we're talking about 4 kids, that intrinsic value of love and faith and endurance. I mean, I don't see a lot of parents doing that. A lot of times, parents get wrapped up in seeing how much material things they can give their kids. And then the kids get the material things, but they end up losing on the other intrinsic things called love, called faith, called endurance, and those kinds of things. But having said that, it's my understanding that you became an entrepreneur while raising your kids. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you're juggling a lot of things now. It's like juggling 4 kids. All 4 kids are different. I'm making this assumption. They all have their different needs, but now you're adding something else on, and that is entrepreneurship. What is that? How do you do that? Can you speak more on that, please?
Yes, absolutely. It's really interesting because a part of you feel like, while I was raising my kids, I made them the priority. They were all, very involved with their academics, and they were very involved in extracurricular activities. All of them played sports. And so I was dedicated, working full time and making sure that I was there to support them. That's one of the things that I fostered and cultivated in our household, was supporting one another. And so we would go to each other's games. We would support each other at our different events, and they would support me too when I would have speaking engagements and things like that. And so I've always known that I was meant to be an entrepreneur. Like, it's just in me. There's just something that's in you, but you're so worried about the timing of everything, right? Because everything comes down to timing. It might be, you have the right ideas, but it may not be the right time. And so as I'm raising my kids, I was very careful about the timing, because I felt like I don't want to take anything away from them. And you also find yourself in a situation where you feel like, okay, I'm kind of spread pretty thin. I don't want to put on or take on too much more on my plate. But the timing for the entrepreneur endeavor was great. And I knew that it was like, I had wrote out the plan. I had written out the business plan, the ideas. I had my product development was, all underway. And I was like, it's time to actually do this. And so one of the beautiful things is I had the support of my kids. My kids supported me in this endeavor. And so even as I was going along the process and, starting the LLC and doing all of the business side of the business side of the business, and showing them, this is what I'm doing. This is what's happening. You're opening up accounts. I knew that I was changing the legacy. I knew that I was changing the generation for us. This was not something that I had saw. This was not something that I had the blueprint of from my grandparents. But when I think back, my grandparents, they were actual entrepreneurs too, but no one ever talked about it. It wasn't like, I don't remember my grandparents, talking to us grandkids about their entrepreneurial endeavors. My grandmother was an investor in real estate. My grandfather had his own horticultural business where he did landscaping business. But no one ever talked about what their goals were, their dreams or their passions or how they did it. And so I didn't have a blueprint, but what I did know was that I was getting ready to change the generation for my kids moving forward, and starting a business, and then also teaching them that while they're in college, that they have options. You know what I mean? That there's not, one thing that you can do, like you have to go to work and, you know, clock in for a 9 to 5. If that's your passion, that's great. But also allowing them to allow their gifts to expand and to see me watch my gifts expand, the things that I'm passionate about. So that has been extremely, it's been a blessing. And one of the things I will say too is just watching their involvement. I've been able to go to them and ask them, ask them their opinion on different art designs. My daughter has been, my oldest daughter has been very helpful and very instrumental in the business with me launching the business. So that has been very instrumental as well. And actually, I'm going to bring her on and make her a, sorry about that. I'm going to be bringing her on and making her a partner going into 2022 with the business. So she's actually showed interest to where she wants, you know, a part of some equity in the business, and also teaching the kids too how to have equity in companies and not just be an employer or to our contractor of a business.
So what is your business? We've talked about entrepreneurship, but I'm just burning, waiting, like, what is this business that you're in?
I am in the stationery business. And so all things stationery, I create planners, journals, notebooks, Post-its, pens, pencils, all things stationery. One of the things that I'm excited about that's coming up in a couple of months are my pocket planners, which are the pocket notebooks, if they're smaller size notebooks. And so I just really firmly believe in writing things down. What you write down remains relevant. And so like the business, I can track through my journals and see where I talked about this business, where I was planning this business out, and what you write down remains relevant. You know, even if you don't have all the pieces and all the clues together, if you just keep writing it down, it'll all begin to come together. And then you look back and you have all the pieces, you just got to put them together. And so I'm very passionate about journaling. I think it's very therapeutic, and I think that it helps you to get through your day, get through frustrations. It's one of the things that I like to say, it's your opportunity to have a conversation uninterrupted. No one is going to interrupt you when you're journaling.
Yes, I love that. And I love your journal. You know, I have bought your journal.
Thank you.
Magnificent. I highly recommend it. And, you know, but I find that, you know, the road less traveled. We think that, you know what, single parenting may not be the perfect avenue, that, like you said, the statistics, but what I know from your children, because I know all of them, is not that you have just raised them to go to college, but you've raised phenomenal leaders. And I believe that they are so empowered by your life. I love the quote that Rockefeller, I think it was John D. Rockefeller, that said, if you want your children to be nothing, give them everything. I've given your children the best of you, you know, faith, endurance, the ability to be creative, to think outside of the box. So what are your highest aspirations, not only for yourself, but for your children going forward?
You know, I would say one of my highest aspirations for them is to not put themselves in a box. I think that's one of the biggest things, is not to limit the possibilities of what they're able to do. I remember my daughter, I think it was her junior year, and we were, you know, you start having those conversations, well, long before that, but we start having more deeper conversations about what you want to do. And I remember her saying, you know, Mom, I feel like that question kind of narrows you down to pick one thing, like you got to be one thing. And she's like, I want to do multiple things. There's so many things that I want to do. She said, you know, I want to learn how to fly an airplane. I want to, you know, do cinematography. I want to do this and I want to do that. And I was like, you know what? And you can do all of those things, but it was the first time, you know what I mean? Because usually when someone asks you, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Being is like, it's singular, right? It's like concentrated on this one focus. Like, do you want to be a doctor, or do you want to be you know what I mean, a firefighter, or do you want to be this or that? But she was very sure, like, you know, Mom, I just feel like I'm multi-gifted. Why do I have to do just one thing? And so if nothing else, I want them to aspire to allow their gifts, because we're gifted, we are, you know, multi-gifted. And so to allow their gifts to make room for them. My oldest son is in college now. He's in his junior year in college, and, you know, he's a political science major. So he's, you know, studying, getting ready to take the LSAT so that he can go into graduate school and into law school. And so I like the fact that not only is he pursuing his, professional endeavors, but he also started his own podcast. You know what I mean? He also journals too. So he's doing things, allowing his gift and, his voice and the things that God has gifted him with to make room for him. My other son has been tapping into some other things. He's really gotten into the trade. And so he's going to school and he's working a trade. So just being able to use their gifts, even now. And I think that's one of the things that I admire the most in their aspirations is you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait until I get 30, or I don't have to wait till I'm 25, or I don't have to wait until I graduate college. Like, you can maximize the time now. And so really valuing time, if nothing else, just valuing the time that you have now, and use the time that you have now and just do it, just go, and be great. Be great.
Oh, absolutely. I just love that. I think that, with our children, life is more caught than taught even. And they have caught your anointing. They have caught your unstoppable, audacious spirit, and I know that your highest aspirations have always been wrapped up in your children. You have been very self-sacrificing. I remember when the late, great, of course, Pastor said, and I counseled with you, and you were having opportunities coming out of your ears.
Yeah.
And you were feeling the pull to move out of the state. And I remember us begging you, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't uproot the children now. Just wait. And I knew what a huge sacrifice that was, because you're a speaker, author, teacher. I mean, you have so many hats that you wear, and you were being pulled on. But you were so sensitive to your children, and you sacrificed that time, and now they are flying. So my question at this point is, what are the highest aspirations you have for you?
You know what? And that is a great question. And to be in all honesty, I'm figuring those things out. Because and I'm figuring them out because I'm now coming to the place where I'm separating myself from the mothering to a place of guidance where I can kind of back off because they got it, you know what I mean? And when they need me, I can kind of step in and through prayer when, just so for myself, I'm learning my new aspirations. And so some of the things that I aspire to do is to take this writing business, open up a storefront, continue to curate writing materials and things that will help people self-help through trauma, and not even so much trauma, but right now my heart is towards grief. And so curating some things and putting some things together for people to help walk through that grief process, not just the person grieving, but also the friends, learning how to be. And so that's something that I aspire to do, to continue to write books. There are a plethora of books in me. I'm kind of behind schedule. Well, I won't even say I'm behind schedule because it goes back to what I said earlier about the timing. There are books that I have that I've completed that I haven't published yet. And so I do aspire to get those books out, to release those books, release those things. And to travel, just to be a traveler, just to have, because I'm now in a place where I believe that I've done my work as a mother, you know what I mean? As a dedicated mother, that you'll never be done being a mom, but the bringing them up, the raising them up and equipping them. I believe that I've done that so that they can, begin to spread their wings. But now it's my time to focus on me. And it's a new place for me. It's a new terrain for me because I really took motherhood serious. And so I'm learning and I'm figuring things out. And it's a scary place. It's an uncomfortable place, but it's also a very adventurous place for me right now because I'm venturing out and I'm learning new things about myself, and I'm allowing myself to embrace this place and embrace this unknown place. So I'm excited about that.
Well, that gets back to what you said earlier about your faith and how your son indicated that when everything else was falling apart, you had that faith, and that faith kept you going. And it sounds like that's your leader, that's your mantra, that's what you do. And I applaud you for that. Now, I'd like to step back just for a moment. Think of the younger version of yourself that possibly said, well, I'm not even sure if I could do something like that. How would you have counseled that younger version of yourself that wasn't quite sure, can I do this? Can I be, an awesome mother and give my kids everything they want? Can I also follow my dreams of entrepreneurship, even though there's not a blueprint for that? How would you counsel that same person just listening, just thinking about our viewing audience, that some people are they're not really sure what they want to do. They know that they want to do something that's in them or whatever. How would you counsel that person, or what suggestions do you have?
You know what I would counsel first and foremost would be the confidence, to not, to have confidence in yourself. A lot of times, some of my biggest struggles were the self-esteem about myself and the confidence that I can actually do this. And so to have confidence, that would be the first thing, and not to self-doubt yourself, because when you begin to self-doubt, you begin to sabotage the plans that you're even making, that you're creating, and the things that you want to do. You start telling yourself all the reasons why you can't. And so I would counsel my younger self and say, write down all the reasons you can. Write down all the reasons why this is going to work out. Because a lot of times when I think back to the younger me, I think I was telling myself all the reasons why it wasn't going to work, and it can't work. I've got 4 kids and they're going to look at me. No. Write down all of the reasons why it's going to work. And like I said, I think the biggest thing is the confidence. Because if you have once you have your confidence is secure, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing. I mean, you're not afraid of people. You're not afraid of their faces. You're not afraid of even failing, because you're so confident, well, whether it works or it doesn't work, I'm going to walk away with a lesson. And that's the other thing, is don't be afraid of failing. This parenting, entrepreneurship, it's all going to come with some lessons, and it's how you learn. So every day that I take an L, it's not a loss, it's a lesson for me. And so it's an opportunity for you to get up and walk on with a little bit more information than you had the day before.
You have a little pep in your step.
A little pep in your step. Yes, I love that, Dr. E.
I love that you believe in taking an L as a lesson and not a loss, because everything in life is perspective. And
Yes.
You have taken what some would consider just insurmountable hardships and
Yes.
sacrifice to be legacy and destiny. And how wonderful is that? Because now you have so much more to bring to your life and to the lives of others than if you had been a little whiner, complainer with a little tiny, concept of yourself. You grew into the gravitas of who you are today. And I just salute that. I am so incredibly proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is, and it took me a minute to get to that place where I started to see losses as lessons, because at first, you take it personal, but I had to not take it personal and see, what am I benefiting from this? Because this didn't just happen for a reason. And so when I started to, I think you mentioned earlier, Lady V, about changing your perspective, it's the outlook that you have on something. Then you begin to see the lessons, even in the bad things. I recently had a lesson last week, and it was a lesson. And this is the thing about life. The lessons are sometimes painful. You may cry because of the lesson, because it didn't, it didn't work out the way that you thought it was going to work out, like anything else. But you still get to walk away with something tangible that's going to help you on the next step, on the thing that you didn't see. And so sometimes it's those things that we don't see, coming, or that we don't see around the bend, that lesson is going to prepare us for. So I feel, because I had that lesson last week, I'm better equipped this week. I'm better equipped as I'm going forward. I'm better equipped as I'm going in, because I have a little bit more information, and I got that lesson around the corner, so I'm good to go forward, And so I think that's one of the most important things, is just the perspective. And even telling yourself, because you got to stop and say, what is the lesson? You got to ask, because if not, then your emotions get all attached to it, and you start, like I said, to take it personal. But when you remove the personal feeling and the, why me and the woes, when you take that out, because we go there.
Yes.
What's interesting, you said earlier about the organizational skills that you have as a mother, and how you have to be, you have to be just really on point when you're working with your kids, and how you were able to translate, or just say transfer those very skills into your entrepreneurship, and how you manage your business. And I have to applaud you on that. I have another question though, and that is, we're still in COVID. Yeah, it isn't behind us, but we're probably over the worst part of it from what they say. What is your, if we were to call it post COVID mindset or whatever, but what is the mindset you have after we've gotten through 2020? We're getting through Delta, we're getting through the wave of people probably walking away from their jobs as a result of COVID. Has there been some type of shift in your thinking or your mindset as far as your entrepreneurial spirit?
Yes. And that is change. And this is not, I don't think it's anything new. It will be that change is simply inevitable. And so you have to be willing to change with the times. And I think, coming out of 2020 COVID, going into 2021, and even at the beginning of 2021, we were still, feeling some of the challenges with COVID, right? But I think as we've been in this year, we've learned that we're still in this thing, and things are changing, and they're not just changing temporarily, they're changing for the future. And so that's why I'm saying, like, change is just inevitable. And so you just have to be ready to swiftly move. You can't be tied to one thing. And so I would say, as an entrepreneur, it's just being ready to change, ready to go, with where things are going. We see that a lot of businesses closed, a lot of large conglomerates closed down as a result of the pandemic. And so you have a lot of new businesses that are starting up. So just finding, the pockets and finding the trends and finding out what the consumers need. You just have to be a little bit more savvier about that. But just like I said, I think that all ties back into that change, and change being inevitable, but just being able to go with the flow of where things are moving.
Absolutely love that. Now, as we enter into 2022, I think we are all glad to see 2022 come. Pray it's better.
Okay. Yes.
And I know that you are an author, you are a nimble thinker, a thought strategist. What is your word for 2022? What driving phrase or word are you using to go forward?
2022 is going to be, 2022 is going to be the year you just go. You go after your dreams. You go after, and when I think of go, that means you don't have anything don't let nothing hold you back. You just go. Just go, go.
I like that. Just go.
Just go. Yeah, you cannot.
Audacious enough to go.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I love that. Shamilla, it's really interesting. You said that, that you held up your journal, and you said it's really important to journal. Yes. I got you on that. With all the technology in the world, nothing can take place of a journal. I write, yes. I have my papers no matter what. I do a lot of things online, but I'm a paper person. I will always be a paper person. Having said that, I want you to recap some of the paper stuff that you do, is because we want our viewing audience and our listening audiences to hear, our listening audiences in particular, they're probably writing notes, okay? They don't see you right now, but they're writing some notes, and they're writing on something. Tell us a little bit more about your offerings, please.
Yes, I offer notebooks. Actually, I have two here, and I actually have one that I'm using right now that I've actually personalized. This is our larger standard notebook. It's the black and white signature notebook, but I personalized it actually with tabs. So you can kind of personalize your notebook, make it as fun and functional as you need it to be. This is the large one. This is the smaller one. This is going to be the pocket size notebooks. We have 6 different designs. We have 4 new ones that are coming up in our pocket size. And then we'll also have our 2022 planners, which are planners are extremely important. They just kind of help you navigate, map your day. It's a good way to kind of track back to see the progress that you've made. Because I think a lot of times when we set goals, it's good for goal setting. But a lot of times when we set our goals, when things don't work out the way that we planned them, we tend to think that we haven't done anything, but that's not true. You have done something. So you're able to kind of track your progress. And so that's one of the things that I love about our planners. The planners that we have coming for 2022 are going to allow you to organize some of your quarterly, your goals in a quarterly format. They're going to allow you to track your finances, your budgets, track your calendar day, whether it's work, personal, business, whatever the case you want it to be, because you can use it functionally for any one of those, or even academically. So yes, so we have notebooks, journals, monthly planners, pens, and then, of course, I'm building out the product line because when I usually write, especially when I write at night, I use a candle. So I'm going to be having a special candle line that's going to be coming for you to, light and just get the whole therapeutic aroma thing going when you're doing your writing.
Oh my gosh, that sounds yummy. Queen V, you mentioned something about a promotional that you and Shamilla has conjured up. Well, let's talk a little bit about that, Queen V.
Well, with Shamilla, and for a Christmas offering, when this airs, she will have a special for A2B, Audacity to Believe podcast viewers only. And you will hear more and more about that as that unveils. But we are so excited to partner with her, to collaborate with her on her journey. I can attest that her organizers, her planners are first rate. I am almost at the end of mine. In fact, it reminded me when I saw hers, I have to order some more, but they are exceptional. And tell everyone, Shamilla, where we can find you again for those that may be writing it down.
Absolutely. You can head over to our website at www.journalandco.com, and that's JOURNALYNCO.com. www.journalandco.com is where you can find us. We're also on Instagram, Facebook. We do videos, and also on the website. If you want to head over now, we have a free downloadable workbook on how to journal. Because a lot of times that's questions that people have is, how do I do this thing? So I have a wonderful free notebook that's downloadable for you to download today and start getting some tips on how to journal.
You said what? Free? You said free? Can you repeat that again? It's
a free tool. There is a free tool there for you to help you start journaling, to understand journaling, to be encouraged with journaling, and just some writing tips and some things to do before you start journaling.
Wonderful.
That's awesome. And I know that you also, probably for the new year as well, will be having more journaling clinics.
Yes.
And board parties, of which you are famous for.
Yes.
And so with everything opening up, that definitely will be a part of your program, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm definitely gearing up. I have 2 dates set, which I'm going to be launching at the end of this week for the vision board party. Just getting ready to cast vision for you. And I'm going to do it in a very unique way because I do the vision board parties in a quarterly system, but we're going to do vision for personal, we're going to do vision for business, and we're going to do vision for family, because I think that that's important. That's something that I started to do. And that's really where you sit your kids down and you talk about their visions and how you can support the things that they want to attain, the goals that they're going to set for their vision board. And so I think it's important when parents know what kids want to strive after. You can be their accountability partner, and encourage them and help them. So we're going to add that component this year to the vision board parties, where we do the family vision, casting that vision and helping our kids begin to set vision goals and aspirations and things that they want to do for the upcoming quarter.
Wonderful. Well, it looks like we got to wrap it up. I wish we can continue this conversation. We are going to have to bring you back, Shamilla, at one point or another, but thank you so much for just shedding light on what it means to be an audacious mother of 4 kids, along with being an audacious entrepreneur, and you got them both going strong. So Queen V, let's wrap it up.
Well, in addition to Shamilla's information, you can find Queen V and Dr. E at queenvandre.com. And there you can view us on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, Instagram, Facebook, nearly everywhere, all the time. And please, when you find us, like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you so much. We will see everyone the next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.